be a good night. Yeah.
Jeremy is the Nutcracker, clearly, or some kind of Christmas carol.
Jeez, man,
Certainly
I
the
thought I was with
Nutcracker.
you there.
The Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker.
No, man. If this was a show, if this was the Looney Tunes, I'm Bugs Bunny.
Why? Bro, if this was the
talking
Looney
about Bugs
Tunes, you're
Bunny?
Elmer Fudd.
Bugs Bunny was the man. That's definitely who I am.
Man. Well, we'll talk about Elmer Fudd in a minute because someone's looking a lot like Elmer Fudd right now. But we'll get to him in a second. Also here is David. David,
Yeah,
what's good?
I was gonna say that in order for us to have stocks, we would have to have value in this podcast, which we do not.
Oh.
But,
Wow, way to sell us short, David. Way to sell us short.
What the hell? What's with all this negative energy?
all right. Haters. What's up, guys?
David's been drinking his haterade.
Yeah,
Honestly.
really.
Yeah.
And the Elmer Fudd of the podcast.
Hey.
Man.
That's Edward Norton from American History X to you.
No, it's Pissed Off Spider-Man. What's that guy from Spider-Man? Fuck.
Oh.
Pissed off? Wait, what are you?
Hey.
Pissed off Spider-Man.
It's a Christian podcast.
Lex Luthor.
What?
Did you just say Lex Luthor's from Spider-Man?
I just want to see if anybody would catch that.
Bro,
damn
I'm hurt deeply.
No, but you do look like Lex Luthor, though.
You do look like Lex Luthor. That is a good one. Although not as smart, though.
We're just going to start with that, like shouting off just random bald white guys.
Bruce Willis.
To share with the audience, no, I have not become a racist in my time in quarantine. I was actually just trimming my hair, and well, I have a new respect for barbers because it just came out like hot trash. And by the time I was finished with a pair of clippers, I was just looking in the mirror, and I looked like I had alopecia or male pattern baldness. It was just brutal. It looked like I stuck my head under a lawnmower. So I just figured, what the hell? I'm going to just buzz it all off and go for the American History X look.
You know, low-key, it doesn't look bad. It's a good look. It's like Jennifer Lawrence when she got her hair short.
No, you actually look like a.
Did you just compare me to Jennifer Lawrence? I don't know whether
she's a dime. You're a dime too. Don't worry. It's a good.
White.
I think you mean
Mike,
Natalie
do you want to
Portman.
have sex with me?
White. Whoa.
Compare me to Jennifer
Whoa.
Lawrence.
You look like a what'd you call it? A kid who got lice at summer camp.
No, now you actually look like a fighter. Like white fighters have to go bald to look badass. Like
they exchange their hair for exchange of power.
Dan Hardy's calling, and his mohawk has some questions for you.
No, but I'm like white guys who like have hair just don't seem intimidating to me. It's the Chuck Liddells. It's the those type of guys. Like,
well, thank you, Jeremy. That may have
the Randy Couture's. Like those guys, those are intimidating guys. If I walk past Conor McGregor, wait, hold on, let me finish. If I walk past Conor McGregor on the street and I walk past Randy Couture on the street, I'm pointing Randy Couture. That guy can beat me up. I'm looking at Conor McGregor like, even though he probably could, I'd be like, man, I'm not afraid of that little ass dude. Like, what? He's got a full head of hair. Life has been good to him. What am I gonna be afraid of?
I feel you, Jeremy. In fact, I would even take it this far. Think of anyone we consider a champion or is tough who just so happens to be Caucasian. I would actually take it that far to say that
who just so happens to be Caucasian. You mean who overcame the athletic disadvantage of being Caucasian?
The elites of the elites when it comes to fighting, just so happen to be bald. If you think about it, I would challenge you. Name the last tough non-bald guy.
Alexander Volkanovski.
Who?
Alexander, the champion.
I'm just joking. No, but if you think about it, all the pantheons. Fedor,
Stipe Miocic.
No,
I'm naming current champions, bro.
You're not fitting my narrative.
Israel
Just
Adesanya.
Narrative for a second. He said some good ones.
Wait. Hold on a second. Isn't Habib kind of bald? Like he's
Habib
I'll
is
take
bald.
that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Joe
Henry Cejudo, another current champion.
Yeah, he never defends
Jose
his title.
Aldo.
Wait, Jose
Wait,
Aldo.
what?
Jose Aldo's not even white. Get out of here.
Whoa.
That is a Latin. That is a Latin gentleman.
We can talk about this on our other podcast where we deconstruct race and the history of slavery in Brazil. But anyway, whoa, that's on pod. That's on recording. Anyway.
So just quickly, I just wanted to thank Jeremy because that may be the first time in my 10-year-long martial arts career that anyone has called me intimidating looking. So appreciate that.
No problem, buddy.
I mean, you know, watch him just come out to every time we touch, and you'll be like, this guy's insane.
That's what you come out to?
My last fight, I walked out to every time we touch by Cascada, yeah.
Just and every time we touch, I get the feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly.
I honestly, I do. Like, since this quarantine has happened, every time my girlfriend walks past with me, I'm trying to roll with her like, no, please, I need to touch sweaty men. Get back here. You know. Jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I don't think I'm alone here. You guys are just afraid to admit it.
Okay. You know what?
We all cope differently, man. We all cope differently. That's okay. I was gonna say that I briefly lived in the UK, and actually the toughest, most scariest guys looked all like Stefano right now. So that was actually a weird flashback when you said Cascada, because that's definitely what they would be coming out to with a machete of some sort. So.
And also, don't forget this song. My baby works the morning train.
Hey, the Manchester United theme song.
Yeah, that one. They'd also be singing that one. And this one as well. No?
That's
okay.
Sandstorm by Darude.
Exactly. There it is.
That's what Wanderlei Silva used to walk into, actually.
Hey,
and another bald white guy.
Wanderlei Silva is hardly
think of
white.
it. I would even say it goes to black guys. Like, think of it. It's not even a race thing. It's just like a hair thing. Like, I think you reach your peak manlyhood when you cut your hair off. And you have to start with your hair off, too. Because, you can't just be, like, fresh-haired getting your...
in college they wanted me to go bald.
I think black guys with dreads can be pretty terrifying. Like, remember Francis Ngannou with dreads? Holy crap.
Oh, yeah, he was knocking everybody else stiff.
But that's beyond me why anybody would get dreadlocks. They smell disgusting. But that's
You don't know that, man. You've not smelled every single dreadlock. You don't know
that. Bro, dreadlocks are by their very nature unwashed hair. I've rolled. Yes, it is. That's how you don't watch.
It's not like it's people's culture or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
What do you mean people's culture?
Do your research, bro.
Vikings had dreadlocks too, okay? Get out of here.
Do your research, bro.
I've rolled with people with dreadlocks. Disgusting.
Hilarious. Well, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but that's factually incorrect.
What do you mean? That's how you get dreadlocks. You don't wash your hair.
They wash their hair. Of course they wash their hair. Let's not be stupid.
Let's do a quick Google search. And I'll
okay. Can we not and say we did? Because we have lots of sports to get to, and by lots I mean like two things. And
that's true. I just wanted to settle before we get into sports. That's discussion on air with David. David agreed with me previous to us being on air that
I thought we were still back on the dreadlock thing. Okay.
That yes. Blink-182 is hot trash. They're a terrible band that should have died in the early 2000s.
We're doing this.
Hot take. But I see him nodding his head, so I think we can just move on to the catastrophic week for the UFC that this past week was.
Please, David, would you like to retort?
Let's move on. Let's agree that Blink-182 is trash and move on to this.
All I want to say is if you think of all the subgenres and all the other bands that were spawned off of bands like Blink-182, Green Day, The Offspring. I mean, like, the records.
All the Offspring was themselves.
Great. Like, come on, man.
Offspring is another trash band.
Wow.
Oh,
jeez. Do you know what Stefano listens to? He probably listens to Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin and the
Who doesn't listen to Led Zeppelin?
Oh man, I knew it. I knew
hold
it.
Hold on. You want to? You're giving Blink 180. Hold on. You're giving Blink 180. I listen to Brit rock first of all. A lot of Brit rock. You're like Oasis, like the Strokes. Hold on. You're saying, oh, Blink-182, and you're giving them credit for spawning all these different musical groups. Dude, Led Zeppelin, you're talking about one of the forefathers of rock that literally spawned.
Led Zeppelin is 4 white guys with instruments. That's it. No shots. But shouts out Led Zeppelin though.
Wait, hold on. Which band is not 4 white guys with instruments? Bands that are 3 white guys with instruments, or bands that are 5 white guys with instruments? You have a beat with 4-piece bands? Like
hilarious. Well, actually, what's it called? What's that band? Guns N' Roses. Slash is half Nigerian. So there you go. That's a fact nobody cares about.
Only the good half.
Only the good half.
So, I guess, should we get into this chaotic week? Because I don't know about you guys, but for me at least, this week was a complete emotional roller coaster as far as mixed martial arts. I felt everything from hope to fear to disappointment to relief, you know?
Yeah, one thing that's been on my mind is that something that I felt when the UFC events first started getting postponed, or even when UFC first started trying to keep things going, like in Brazil, as the pandemic started taking out all the other sports leagues, I always felt like if Dana White is able to pull this off, like if he's able to continue providing content and matches, yeah, we look at it as irresponsible, but we also kind of would have looked at it as commendable that he was able. I feel like we looked at it as commendable that he was still striving to put fights out there, because like if you look at fans, like if you look at the WWE fans, their fans are actually appreciative that they have something to watch. So I felt like if he would have tried, because we always commend players for going out there and giving 100%. He's giving 100% too, but he's doing it in a way where the moral question mark is greater. So I felt like he still would have been commended for that. That's how I felt.
I understand where you're coming from, because sure, the man's dedication to his craft and his work ethic is it's well understood. Mind you, I just think, yeah, David's shaking his head, and I tend to agree with him that, maybe this is just what Dana White does. He's like, he's got one direction forward, and that's continue to try to put on fights. I think, though, it's a bit of a moral stain on our sport, absolutely, that, of all people, the governor of California and a senator had to, both had to step in and, be the adult in the room and put Dana White in line. And for a while, it looked like these fights were actually going to happen. They were going to be on a native reserve while they constructed this fight island in the meantime. And I think we had
let's talk about that. Hold on. Let's slow down.
They're still building the fight island, eh?
There's so many layers to this, man. There's so many layers. First of all, I want to stay on Dana White before we even get to the. Wait, do you want to? I want to stay on Dana White.
I know. I agree.
And just say that, like, part of the reason why the UFC got to where it got today is because of that kind of stubborn behavior.
For sure.
And that's something that can't be denied. With that being said, it's a double-edged sword, and I think this is the stuff where it becomes a double-edged sword. Now continue. Go ahead.
I mean, hold on. I agree with David, but Mike, maybe you can give us our audience a little bit of context of the events of this past week before we continue having this discussion for, audience members that might not be aware of just how chaotic and crazy it's been, because I'm sure there's some people listening that have to be scratching their heads wondering exactly what we're talking about.
Okay. So let's kind of put out the full timeline here before we talk about it. Okay, so Khabib obviously pulls out. Justin Gaethje agrees to fight Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson signs a contract, and a fight gets formally agreed. No one knows on the location just yet, but there's a fight in place. The report is, and Dana White later confirmed it with TMZ, that he was working on securing a fight island. Right?
Private island off the coast of California.
Exactly. So it would be off the coast of California. Dana White and the UFC would own it. and they can put fights up every week. David, I see a hand. Would you like to?
Who's played Red Dead Redemption and who thinks Guam? Anyway,
wait, what's this? I played Red Dead Redemption. What's this?
Guam. Anyone for my Red Dead fans? But yeah.
The second Red Dead or the first?
The second one.
I haven't played the second one yet. Spoilers.
Okay. Oh man. All right. Okay.
But no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So basically, yeah, it was Guam. He wanted to.
I was thinking Enter the Dragon with the tournaments held on the private island.
Oh yeah, that's.
I was thinking Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, any number of chaotic, larger than life scenarios. Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It was basically Kumite, except like on an island. It was Bloodsport. Yeah.
But we're all saying that we would have watched whatever fights they put on. But I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about down the line. If the UFC sport and brand advances and all these other leagues are stagnant and they're able to find a way to put something together, we all would have been like, okay, I mean, they came out ahead, like, commendable.
Yeah, okay. We would have watched. I think there's one more event in the Taiwan meet to bring up. Sorry, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I disagree with you, but we'll talk about that later. Okay.
There's one. Don't forget the Rose Namajunas event is important to bring up. Because she pulled out. Yeah.
Thug Rose.
Right? Thug Rose. I love it. Anyway. But yeah, like, here's what basically happened. So Dana White organizes a stacked card and doesn't reveal the location because he doesn't want people to attack it. We later come to find out retroactively that was actually going to be held at the Tachi Casino Resort, which is a native reserve in California, right? But the co-main event gets scrapped. Rose Namajunas pulls out. Now, at the time, no one knows what happened, why she pulled out. It looks like she pulled out due to undisclosed reasons. But her manager later revealed that 2 people died due to coronavirus. 2 people in her family died due to coronavirus. And so she had, I don't even want to say it like she had reservations because it makes it seem like she, sorry,
the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I see even heebie-jeebies. Like, I think it's a legitimate thing to be like, to my like, I want to give it legitimacy. What's a good word to give that?
I would say she had family issues that didn't allow her to properly focus on the task at hand, with 2 family members dying, and
due to a virus that
and a clear illustration of the risk of this situation and what could potentially happen to other fighters for not obeying the social distancing that we're all under. A perfect illustration right there. 2 of her family members passed away, and if that wasn't a clear illustration of things to come, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like, you know what? Not at the risk of sounding a little, I don't even want to say, but like, you know what? At the risk of sounding a little xenophobic, her opponent is from a country that has basically denounced the coronavirus as anything serious, right? So all those things all those factors in place, and
trains out of ATT though.
Sorry?
Trains out of ATT though.
She does. That's why I didn't want to sound ridiculous, right? But she spends time in Brazil, right? And the whole point is that she's on a card, right, worried, and she pulled out, and so I want to give her pull out legitimacy and not be like, oh, she had cold feet because of a virus, right? Because I feel like that's what people did with Habib, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Every single one of those people, right?
Give her credit, if anything.
Yeah, right. So I think that, like, I want to just make that point clear. Now, throughout the week leading up to like when UFC 249 got canceled, lots of politicians were actually speaking on the UFC, including the governor and the senator of California, right? Both of these people.
They actually had nothing to do with it, though.
Sorry?
No, they did.
Had nothing to do with
it.
They
didn't have. Indirectly, they did. Now
they applied pressure to the Disney CEO, who then applied pressure on Dana White.
Exactly.
They basically said
the Disney CEO. They made some calls, right, to Disney, and Disney basically made some calls to ESPN, and ESPN and top Disney and ESPN executives gave a call to Dana White and basically told him, "You're not doing this." And Dana said, "Aye, aye, Captain." And
here's how it went down. Dana got a call. He's like, "Hello." He's like, "Listen here, Dana, and it's your boy Mickey. You will not have this event during a global pandemic, or there will be severe consequences."
Man. We have to pick a lane if we ever want to get sponsors for the show. Like, we can't both be a Christian podcast and be making like sex jokes and be making fun of Mickey Mouse.
Wait, hold on.
Pick a lane.
Is there an edict somewhere in the Bible like saying
thou shalt not make fun of Mickey Mouse?
I think that was Leviticus.
In the Entertainment Corp Bible, yeah, absolutely. If you ever want to work in the entertainment
hey man, we gotta shake our behinds for the money, okay? Like, I need a new couch, okay? Look at this couch.
But yeah, not a good look for the sport.
I agree though, and yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I'm trying to pull. I wrote some stuff for this. First of all, I feel like I knew this would happen. It was so predictable, even when they announced it. Like it was so vague that I feel like they didn't even know. They didn't even believe that it was gonna happen. And then, as you said, of course, Rose Namajunas pulled out, and that was the co-main event. So from there, you can kind of see like the wheels slowly falling off.
Can I be honest with you though? That didn't give me pause to think that was going to be canceled because one, this was a stacked card, and two, Dana White bought an island. He bought an island for this. Like, think about that for a second. This man is crazy. Like,
do you think Dana White could afford an island? Like, I actually thought about it a little bit. Do you think he could afford, or do you think he could afford to rent an island?
Here's the thing.
Do you think WME could afford an island?
David, depending on the location, you'd be super surprised for how much you can buy a small island for. It's depending on the location, it can be surprisingly cheap. As in,
we're speaking about that like we got 3 islands just ready to go. But like,
yeah, just chilling, you know. No, but you can honestly buy some islands off the east coast of Canada for about as much as you would buy a house, less than you would buy a house for in Toronto.
Imagine that if all this time Dana White was referring to like some island off like Prince Edward Island.
Yeah,
when he
was
going
to Prince Edward Island. It's gonna be tough, Prince Edward Island.
Dude, for some reason, when he said island, I was expecting somewhere tropical, but no, that is a good point.
No, it's gonna be off. From what I understand, it's gonna be off the coast of California, and yeah. They're building it apparently as we speak.
You know what, low key though, when this virus is over, I would like to see some fights on this supposed island. Like that would be cool. I would, and like, you know what, why not? You know what, the Ultimate Fighter needs some new life. Why not have the Ultimate Fighter on the island?
It's a cool gimmick, right? Yeah. Like, or even Dana White's Contender Series.
Cool. It'd be like Survivor.
Ooh, now we're cooking. Now, also, what if we throw them on the island, and then it's also like mixed in, there's cameras everywhere, so it's like Big Brother, and then they're also surviving, so it's like Survivor at the same time. And
that's a great idea. And you know what? We'll throw a half dozen hippos on the island as well.
Yes.
We'll give them jet packets, attach rockets to their head, and then
this is how the Hunger Games started, right here. This is how the Hunger Games started. It's just going to be fun. They're just going to fight and survive, and they're just going to basically want to kill each other. And the next thing you know,
both
one boy and one girl. I volunteer as tribute. This is how it starts.
Hilarious.
I think. Okay, so here's my question to you guys, because you brought up the Ultimate Fighter. What's your favorite season of the Ultimate Fighter, each of you gentlemen?
Either season 1 or season 4. Is it the Nate Diaz year? The Nate Diaz and Joe Lozon. Is that 4 or 5?
That's not. I think it's 5, because season 4 was the comeback, which is one of my personal favorites.
Oh, is that the one with Matt Serra?
Matt Serra.
Yeah. International.
That guy who beat Nick Diaz. I'm trying to think of his name. Blonde guy. Yeah, Mr. International, Shoney Carter, who's my favorite boring fighter of all time. Yeah.
I like the what's it called, the Bisping one. Obviously, I just think like that's such a classic. Is that the first one? Or the second
Bisping
one.
is second one, yeah, because the coaches were Tito Ortiz, Frank Shamrock.
Oh,
yeah. That's a classic one.
Great.
Yeah, I wasn't really too big of a fan, or didn't really watch that show too much. But the one season where I watched basically almost every episode was the one where Rampage was a coach. So I guess him and whoever was the other coach.
There's actually two. There's two seasons where he was a coach.
So probably Forrest Griffiths.
No, I'm thinking Jeremy saw the one with Kimbo, the Rampage versus Rashad.
Yeah.
Maybe. That
was a good one.
Personally, my favorite was, I don't know if you guys remember this, Frank Mir versus Minotauro, because that was the first season I watched.
Oh, yeah. Junie Browning.
Junie Browning. Yeah, that was a great season.
How many pieces of...
Felipe Nover. Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say how many horrible human beings were on that show, like dude, that season.
How many horrible human beings in our sport generally? But
good point. But
on that season, yeah, absolutely. There was Junie Browning. There was that Hawaiian cat. I forget his name.
There was War Machine. War Machine was on that season too.
No, wrong season. War Machine was
on the Junie Browning season.
No, War Machine was on the Matt Hughes, Matt Serra season.
You sure?
Yep, 100%. I'm an Ultimate Fighter historian, certified.
Love it. What do you think of the recent one, Stefano?
Haven't seen it, man. Haven't seen it. To be honest, like recently, I haven't really had the appetite to go out and watch, this kind of dated reality television style show. But
it's still pretty interesting, man. Like they're doing some pretty interesting stuff, and I like the way that it transitions fighters from there. Obviously, the whole story about if you prove yourself in the Ultimate Fighter, you pretty much are ready for the UFC. So I like the whole way it's almost like a college, like UFC college, if that makes any sense.
But the thing is,
I like that aspect of it.
But that's not the reality anymore. It used to be like I think from seasons 1 to maybe even 12, like that's even a little high. Maybe I would say seasons 1 to 8. You could definitely say that like if you won the Ultimate Fighter, you could be somebody.
Sure. I see what you mean.
But it hasn't been that since, and I think it's lost that luster of that, right? Because when you have shows like...
You got guys like Calvin Gastelum and like Robert Whittaker.
Those are much older seasons, though. Robert Whittaker was on the...
still, like Calvin Gastelum, how old is Calvin Gastelum? He's not even 30 yet.
No, but he was like, what? He was like season, 10?
No, he was early. He was like 21 on the show or something like
that. David, I agree with you in the sense that, obviously this tournament style approach is definitely very difficult, and it has produced some great talent, even for people who haven't necessarily won the show, right? Tons of talent has come through. Me personally, I think Dana White's Contender Series now kind of encapsulates all my favorite aspects of The Ultimate Fighter without all of the excess. Like, I used to like it back when I was just kind of getting introduced to the sport, and I was really fanboying out over like, these larger than life figures like Minotauro and Frank Mir as the coaches, and you got to really see into the life of the fighter. And now I feel like in this day and age, personally, what I'm looking for is just less so the, artificial, like, we're trapped in the house. Fights. I just want to see good fights. And for me, Dana White's Contender Series kind of does that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I haven't checked that out. I've watched Dana White's Looking for a Fight. Not the same. Not the same.
No, yeah.
Because it's again, same excess stuff where, like, they're going out to this city, they're trying the food, and it's like, no, I just want to see the fight. I don't care. Like, I don't care. What you tried out some, like, beluga whale? Like, okay, that's cool. Like, no, I want to see the fight.
Do you know which fight show?
It doesn't Miss Universe.
Yeah. Do you know what fight show I can strongly recommend that you guys go back and watch? And I think it was better than The Ultimate Fighter. And I got into this around the time of it. It's been kind of lost to history a little bit, but I think it's a really cool experiment to go back and watch. Have you ever seen the Tap Out Show?
No.
So basically what it was the three tap out guys, rest in peace, Charles Mask Lewis, Skyscrape, and Punk Ass, the three main tap out guys. And basically what they do is they go find a particular fighter that they were going to sponsor from Tap Out, and then just kind of detail their training. They'd ride around with the Tap Out crew. The Tap Out crew would take them in their private bus to their fight, and they'd fight. And these guys had such an eye for talent. So this is who they were able to scout before they got big. Jared Rosholt, Johnny Hendricks, Cowboy Cerrone, Pat Curran, Yeah.
Oh,
the list goes on and on and on. I'm missing a bunch. But yeah,
those are first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah, dude. Before they were big, through the show they managed to scout all these guys. I'm missing a bunch, but they had just a ton of good talent that came off of that show. Who I'm trying to think of more. Damasio Page, another one of like WEC fame. But yeah, great show. I think it holds up. Thoroughly recommend going back to watching it. It's kind of a snapshot of that, greasy early to mid 2000s era in MMA.
You know what? Another show that I actually would recommend. You know what? Just because I like the show because it did add a little bit of legitimacy to MMA. Bully Beat, right? With Jason Mayhem Miller.
They have that on Fight Pass?
Because
no, YouTube.
They don't have it on Fight Pass?
Do they have that on Fight Pass?
No, it's because it was an MTV property. I think it's on YouTube still for free.
Okay. So the reason why I like this because I think around this point I always talked about it is that for some reason people really think that they could be in the UFC like if they get like 6 months of training and then go in. Stefano, like how many times you've had to field it? Yeah. Constantly. Right. So I think Bully Beatdown really showed the gap between someone who's trained, and they didn't even have like great fighters on there. I think the best fighter to be on Bully Beatdown was Arlovsky.
No,
Eddie Alvarez was on
Eddie Alvarez. I was just gonna bring him up.
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez was on the show, right? But like the rest weren't like great. Like you didn't see like amazing guys on that show besides them, and.
They were whooping everybody's ass.
Oh my god!
They
and
were
having
whooping
fun and like toying.
They were whooping the bully's ass.
Like they were toying with these guys, like.
And these guys aren't the elite.
Put guys at go for Pradas, like
to what extent do you think the show was scripted?
Sorry.
To what extent do you think that show was scripted? Because I always had some.
No, but wasn't the prize for? I don't think it was scripted because of this. Like. Wasn't there prize money involved if you last a certain amount of rounds or something like that?
Yeah. So
yeah, sure, but that could be scripted as well.
There was 2 rounds.
No, it's because it's more of like a game show. It's not really like it's kind of like a game show. Like and game shows aren't really scripted. There was like 2 rounds,
right? Like it was like mixed in one. Like they would find the bully, and then they'd have like a back and forth, and then they'd actually get into the octagon. And there was 2 rounds. There was a submission only round, and there was a striking round. Right? Yeah. A striking only round. And the submission only round, this is why I kind of can see Jeremy's point is that the submission only round is like for every $1,000 you lose, for every submission that they get is every 1,000 you lose, right? So like, and it's 3 minutes. So
if you're talking about the part that introduces the guys, sorry to cut you off, but if they're talking about the part that introduces the guys, oh yeah, they like for sure scripted that in.
Oh, they're hamming it up.
And they played up the bullying part of it, but like.
Gentlemen, give me 1 second. I gotta go to the washroom.
I don't think the fights were scripted at all.
Yeah, like definitely. But like, I just really like that show because it really showed like how much of a gap there is between like your average tough guy on the street who could maybe whoop like so and so's ass, and professional fighters. Like
it's like pros versus Joes.
Yeah, it was like pros versus Joes for fighters, and it like you just really saw the vast level in competition. So if you want to see that one, I think like that really was, like everyone talks about like, lots of other things that legitimized MMA, and it's true. But I think Bully Beatdown is an underrated thing that did it too, is because to the casual audience, they really saw the difference between, your regular tough guy bar fighter and a professional MMA athlete.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think I remember it, but yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. I don't know how a normal person could think that they could go against a trained professional. It just sounds crazy. But
you're a smart guy. You're a smart guy, so I know you wouldn't think that. But like, it's crazy how many times I've had to field like insane. Sorry.
But what if I got them? But what if I started from the back? Like, what if they didn't see it coming? All right. Never mind. Okay. All right. Moving back to this UFC thing.
No, but I think like the part where you could kind of say it was scripted is only because like the only way I could see it being scripted is because like I feel like they played up the bullying part too much, but like you have to really actually have some kind of confidence if you're actually going to go for money. Like some of those guys did roll over and be like, "Okay, I don't want I don't want no parts." Like some guys actually did that. But like there were a more majority of guys who were like, "Okay, I think I can beat this guy to get like a couple $1,000 or whatever they gave you." And like that part kind of was scripted because like I feel like a majority of those guys had no confidence going into those fights.
Yeah, here's the thing. I feel like
That's the only part, really.
You can definitely find some people who are delusional enough to strap up and say, "Hey, would you take on a pro fighter for X amount of money?" And then they get in there and they're like, "Oh crap!" Like you realize it's a lot different from what you originally thought. But I mean, yeah, who knows? Because just
were they actually like scrapping or?
Yeah, they were
like,
scrapping.
Yeah. So like one round would be jiu-jitsu only, and then one round would be a striking match. Right, and you would see guys get embarrassed. Like it was crazy.
I can't see as a professional fighter. I can't see myself signing up for anything where I'm just beating. And also, number one, it's unsanctioned, so that's literally illegal. But
no, it wasn't illegal.
No, it was sanctioned.
Exhibition. It's not sanctioned in the sense that it would go on someone's record, but it counts as like an exhibition bout, right?
Yeah.
But even then, like a record, nobody's making money off of it.
Well, like the fight people are definitely making money off it. People are definitely making money off it because if you're a professional fighter, why else would you do it? Just to be part of your anti-bullying campaign?
Well, it's like
it's a paid for a TV appearance thing. You're on MTV, you know.
Yeah, well, you might get paid. You might get paid for the TV appearance, but you're not getting paid to fight, right? It's treated like a sparring. It's like it's like a loophole, I guess. Yeah, it's like a sparring session. You're getting paid to be on
even
TV.
Then, like, you're a high-level fighter, and you too, Michael. Would you feel comfortable stepping into the ring with, like, somebody who has zero experience, and they're like, okay, beat on this guy for,
if they were bullying people, yeah.
Oh, man, but, like, put the bullying aside, because we've already established that was probably hyped up and scripted. So we don't even know if most of those guys were bullied.
Well,
and also...
No, I believe they were bullied.
Here's the
they
thing.
They told real stories. It's just
like one kid. Remember that one kid, the kid who like got wet so bad he needed surgery to remove the underwear from his.
That sounds like some made up stuff. Go on, please. Go on.
Me personally, as someone who got bullied pretty severely in like high school and elementary school, for me, I would with pleasure.
Like I would pay money to do it. Like like it would.
Yeah, man. I would have loved if when I was getting bullied as quite if some MMA fighter came around and Mayhem Miller's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna beat some of these guys' asses for you. Don't worry. we'll get you on MTV.
The part that I'm saying they played up was these bullies' egos.
Yeah, like they would be on the camera and they would say some ridiculous, like outlandish stuff. Yeah, that I think is scripted.
They're
them actually doing the deed. I think was.
But they're still assholes, but they played up the bravado of these guys, like how you see on like the douchebag that you'll see in a bar on TV. Like they played that part up.
I'll have to check it out.
As much as like some of it, you want to think it's scripted, and definitely they're like playing up and
it's MTV.
Encouraging.
Like, come on, man.
No, they're encouraging these guys to be as ridiculous as possible as well, for sure, right? But on the same side of the coin, like I do know some people, or I have known some people throughout my life, delusional, with enough delusional self-confidence to actually take themselves seriously enough to go on this show and believe that they could, like I had a friend of mine's older brother who in high school was just one of the most delusional people that I've met, said, oh, I think I could beat George St. Pierre's ass. He doesn't look that tough. I just see him fighting, and I feel like I could. And I had another guy called George St. Pierre a Pussy because he kept taking Thiago Alves to the ground. So it just like they're these.
You know what? I have a friend who when Conor McGregor and Khabib were fighting, he was so upset with Khabib Nurmagomedov. He was like, why does he keep doing this? I quote you, I kid you not. He kept saying, why does he keep taking him down and doing that gay shit, shit? Like, I was floored. I was completely floored that in 2018 at the time, people still think like that, you know? So.
People aren't all fans of MMA. I don't know. We live in a society that doesn't like primarily, or isn't, well, anyway, not to get too theoretical here, but isn't primarily like governed by violence, at least not direct violence. So
Yeah.
why would this isn't like ancient Japan or like, you know, in the samurai times where everybody has to be like a swordsman or something like that. Like,
yeah, and with a lack of exposure to that kind of violence, people have delusional ideas of, you know, what an altercation would be. But just quickly, just to impress upon you guys how good the Tap Outs crew scouting was. Do you mind if I just rattle off the names? I found a list of the guys on it.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Is that too much of a diversion? Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. We talked about police beatdown for like 20 minutes. Like, go ahead. Like,
yeah, no. If only we were in the middle of a pandemic or something, and there was no sports, and we had nothing to talk about.
So check this out. Episode 1, Damasio Page. Episode 2, Antonio Benuelos, a really sick WEC fighter. Then Matt Major, if you know who that guy is.
He kind of flamed out though towards the end.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He produced that hilarious hype video for one of his fights where he was dressed in drag. That was kind of funny. And then Donald Cerrone, Renato Verissimo, who's one of the, you know, elite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
You know, it's a shame he never got to the UFC though.
I know.
Yeah,
it's a damn shame.
It's really a shame.
Sergio Gomez. Matt Fiorentissimo, I don't know who that guy is. We'll skip over that guy because I don't know who he is. Scott Epstein of Eddie Bravo fame. And then we have Glover Teixeira. This is where it gets juicy. And Scott Lighty. Dan Lauzon.
You know what? You know what though? Hold on. Can we have this discussion? Does Dan Lauzon get in the UFC without his brother in the UFC?
I think he was quite talented. I think his brother definitely opened the door for him, and he had some notable wins in the UFC, but never really lived up to his potential. I don't know. What do you think?
I think he's a good an amazing regional guy. He's a fringe UFC guy. I think he's a bubble UFC guy.
Think about the era he was in as well, right?
Yeah.
Far different from our own.
Yeah, like I just think that, like, you know what? I think in this era he would definitely be a UFC guy just because they have to hire so many fighters for so many cards. But like in that era where they could be a little more selective with the guys they bring in because they didn't have to field like 100 cards a year. That's an exaggeration, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But like because of that, I think that's why I guess I have that feeling. But when I look at him in his UFC performances, and you'd see some of the things he was doing and some of the results he was getting, you'd be like,
I think, keep in mind, I think he was a guy who was thrust into the spotlight way too early as well. Remember, he made his UFC debut when he was 18. Like, I think it's a Sage Northcutt case where, you know, these guys definitely need some time to kind of ferment a bit on the regional scene, you know, accumulate experience and confidence before they're thrown to the wolves, you know.
Sergio Pettis, that reminds me of Sergio Pettis, who is surprisingly still only 26. So yeah, I was shocked to find that out.
26, wow.
Yeah, he's still pretty young. Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel old.
Like Jordan Meehan's a great example of that. That guy was playing since he was like in diapers, right? And he retires at like what, 25? Like, so. You know, I can hear that. I can hear that argument. But, like, talent for talent. You know, Dan Lauzon, you know, I'm not saying he's definitely not a UFC guy, and I'm not saying Tap Out didn't do their due diligence with him. I'm just saying, like, when we look back at Dan Lauzon, do we look at him with rose-colored glasses because of Joe, or is it because of Dan, you know?
I definitely have to go back and watch some of his career because that's a name I probably haven't heard in 5-6 years. You know what I mean? Let alone seen one of his fights.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, by the way, just to throw this in, John Dodson, Julie Kedzie, Pat Curran, and
holy.
Yeah. Johnny Hendricks, Jared Rosalt, Greg McIntyre. So yeah.
They found some guys. They found some guys.
But yeah, no, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. And like there definitely is no one perfect method for, I guess, like raising up a fighter and, what's the best way to get the most out of someone. John Jones won a UFC belt at 23, but obviously he's the exception, not the rule. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Say what you will about Darren Till, but Darren Till is still like young, He's like he's like,
27.
our age.
Yeah, he's like, our age.
So
Darren Chill.
Right? So you know what? It's an interesting conversation. It is. Cool. Do you guys mind if I divert and go to a different topic?
What are we talking about?
Okay.
No,
So, we can talk Serge Ibaka wanting to stay in Toronto, or we can go straight to the Ask Questions segment.
Just go ask questions.
All right.
By the way,
David. Serge Ibaka wants to stay in Toronto. Wow. Woo. It's the 6. It's great. Okay. Okay. So we got
it's just a big deal. Wait, hold on. Can I just say one quick thing? Because I just had to take on that. Because when the Raptors first got Ibaka, obviously this is when our team was so heavily reliant on Lowry and DeRozan, and for some reason we still had huge hopes for Valanciunas. So I actually thought he was going to come and be a star, but in reality he's played much more of a squad player role. And for a salary, I'm just wondering, I just thought out loud, like, is that enough? Like, can we look back on the last 3 years now, or 2.5 years, and say that he's been, obviously the chip makes everything worth it, but like, did he live up to that initial hype? Like, especially the same thing with Marc Gasol. I don't know.
I think both of them, but especially Serge Ibaka had one of the more underrated playoff runs last year. Serge Ibaka, people forget that Game 7, Serge Ibaka came to play. Like, that Game 7 against Philadelphia, he came to play. So, and the thing about him, too, is he's had a great 2019-2020 season. Mm-hmm. What it is with him is he's a really good third option, a great third option, good second option, and if you have him as your first option as a score, I'm talking as a primary scorer, you're in trouble, right?
I'm sorry, Michael.
No, you're in trouble.
I'm gonna have to start as a second option scorer, Serge Ibaka.
I said good, like playoff, fringe playoff.
For playoffs?
Fringe
okay,
playoff.
Man, we can agree to move on.
Okay, so you wouldn't think like a team of like a good first option and like Serge Ibaka wouldn't make it to the playoffs? Like, I'm like 8th place, they wouldn't make 8th place to you?
I feel like it would depend on the team. I just think like I don't know. I disagree. I don't think
that's fair.
He's a consistent enough scorer. I don't think the things he was supposed to be good at. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but my point is that like I think the thing about Serge Ibaka is that a lot of people like had this thought process in their mind that like he's gonna be like when he was on OKC, give him 2 more years and he's gonna be a premier power forward in the league.
One thing I also want to add is that Raptor power forwards, statistically at least, haven't been like the premier player. They've typically been like the role player, underappreciated. Like, if you think about it, Chris Bosh was really our only premier power forward. He was more of a center. Like, sure. So Serge Ibaka, for the system that he's in, he plays great defense. He played great defense in the finals last year. And he played great defense against Philadelphia. And he's become a smart basketball player in 2019, 2020. So I feel like,
well, I always say it like this, is that like, look, if you're looking for him to be your scorer, I don't think that's I think your team's going to be sorely underperforming. But if you want a power forward who can shoot some threes, play excellent defense, great off the screen and roll, and is a good locker room presence, Serge Ibaka is your guy. Am I saying he deserves $20 million a year? that's a bit of a stretch. But, am I saying that if you can get him for 3 years, $45 million, I don't think that's I think that's a good deal,
Yeah,
Sorry?
I think 3 years, 45 sounds pretty good considering. Although he is getting up there. I just thought the initial hype, I expected him to be pretty much on at the same level of, especially because we hear just the disrespect of Toronto players all the time. So considering the hype he got outside of Toronto, I expected him to come to the team and be pretty much one of the star players. And not to say that he didn't have a huge impact in the playoffs last year, but I also remember the year before that, and man, he's had a lot of patchy games. So yeah. Anyway, but shouts out Serge Ibaka, man. I like Serge Ibaka.
My thing is that look, I'm not expecting him to be the thing is that a lot of these guys say they want to stay in Toronto or they want to stay on someplace, and then they get some insane offer from a Sacramento or some inept team, and then they're gone, and then they underperform. So that's why I don't really give it too much credence. But if he accepts 3 years 45, right, or dare I say even 3 years 50. 50 is a little bit of a stretch, but I wouldn't mind keeping him back because of the things he does for the team. 15 points a game will get you 8 to 10 rebounds, a couple blocks, and a good locker room presence, as well as can stretch the floor out for you. That's par for the course of what you want in today's league.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
on to the Ask Question segments. I have the phone out ready for it.
Oh, boy.
We got 2 sports-related ones and 1 not sports-related one, and we have all day to talk about them. Well, not really.
Wait, hold on. Before you start, are these real questions from real people, or did you make these up yourself?
No, real questions from real people. Although one of them is what Jiu-Jitsu would call a Bob question, where it's anonymous. So, the person doesn't want to be named. But, people have asked me this, right? And, I just kind of, take them. They're not, sometimes I've been really asking them do the email because sometimes I'll forget, and then they get upset at me. It's well, you keep telling me about it, but you don't ask me on email. But anyway, so that's your reminder. Go to the lightkick1@gmail.com if you'd like your question to be remembered and asked. So
hate mail too. Send your hate mail there.
Exactly. Because we love hate mail. So this was actually one that so we had Zach. We talked about Zach who asked the question of should MMA be in the NCAA, right? And should it be in the NCAA and college, for example?
Hello?
Mike, you there? We've lost Mike.
He's gone.
Experiencing some technical difficulties. I'm sure he'll
be back on.
He'll be back on soon.
We've lost the coffee of the podcast.
Talk to you guys. Sorry?
No. What?
Mike, you cut out there for a long ass time.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So we had a listener really interested. He asked the question of the NCAA and MMA and NCAA. Remember that question? Okay. So he wanted to know, right? He was asking and wanted to know if amateur fighters should get paid, right? Amateur MMA fighters should get paid. Why or why not? Because one of the things that we talked about briefly was, we'd be for it if amateur fighters could get paid.
Full stop, yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a loaded question, but I think we're all in agreement here. It's a yeah. It's a yeah.
Can I delve into this a little bit? Just
sure.
Because here's the thing that people don't realize. Amateur athletes, you're making money off of them, right? Sometimes to the tune of, if we're talking NCAA athletes, millions and millions and millions of dollars you're making off of these amateur athletes. So it's just it's just a fact of these, any other business, it's should Burger King employees get paid? You know what I mean? Of course. You have an amateur MMA promotion, you're setting it up to make money, right? You have people paying you for sponsorship. You have people paying ticket prices. You're making money. This is a business. This is not a non-for-profit, right? So to say that these fighters should do it for the love of the sport when you're making money off of them, I think is crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, David. I
was just going to say that, I definitely think that fighters on all levels should get paid, especially just because of the risk involved. I think that when you consider that and the fact that you could even have loss of income for even participating in the sports, I think that has to be compensated. Who knows? Any injury, you can get any kind of injury could put you out for 2-3 weeks, months, like you never even know. So for the rest of your life, potentially. And I know you sign a lot of waivers to get yourself in there, but I still think that there should be some compensation. I will say, though, that to shoot the promoters some bail, this is amateur sport, and just similar to other sectors in the economy, volunteers are an important part of organizations and an important part of the economy. I'm sure all of you know this, and everybody's volunteered. But sometimes there just isn't enough money in it to pay for the standardization, the oversights, the legislation, the protective equipment that's necessary to ensure that things are kind of fair and regulated, is what I would say. So maybe that's a reason
I'd
why
counter. I'd like to counter. First, if you don't have enough money to pay your employees, you shouldn't be in business.
You shouldn't run a business.
Yeah, don't run a business if you can't pay your employees. And to that point as well, I've seen amateur promotions. I fought for amateur promotions with 2,000 fans in the audience. It's like, you tell me you're not making money, and they'll put out list of excuses like that, like, guys, look, we've got camera equipment, we've got this, videographers, we've got X, Y, and Z referees. It's like, man, come on, you wouldn't do it if it wasn't profitable.
Well, think about it this way. Think about it this way. First of all, a lot of people will do a lot of things because it's not profitable. So, that's for sure. Thank you for making.
Wait, hold on. Amateur. Let me jump on that. Amateur promoters.
I'll say
promoters
this. If I could chime in for a second.
For social credit.
What?
Amateur promoters are going to do it for social credit?
No, not on credit. No, they wouldn't do it for social credit. Yeah.
Business lines of credit, as in loans.
That's not how MMA works.
Right. Look, I'll say this. If I could chime in, look, I think we're all in agreement, but the devil's advocate is interesting because, okay, I'll say it like this, right? In your men's league, right? Like, let's say you play men's league soccer, or men's league basketball, or whatever. That is technically an amateur. You are doing amateur sports, right?
Yeah, but you're not profiting off of it.
Well, sorry.
Some are.
You're not profiting off of it.
No, but like some leagues do. Some leagues do. Like, like a basketball league I used to play in, you'd have to pay, what was it, like $2 something to play. They give you a jersey. They give you a wrap. They pay for the wraps, and the person would pocket the rest of the money, and they're making bank, right? Should they pay me? I wouldn't think so. So it's like,
I promise you, those organizations are not making as much money as you think they are.
I know. Hold on, David. Let me answer because I need to right. While they're making bank, they're not making enough where I would say, hey, I want the money, or I wouldn't even necessarily think I deserve money if I'm not fighting, but playing basketball at that level, right? So it's like the question is, where is the line for amateur fighters to then get paid? Is it, for example, we fight on War of Gods. Should I get paid at War of Gods? Should I get paid at Cage Wars? Should I get paid at MPL? Like, what is?
I think there's a clear line.
Amateur fighter.
So what's a clear line? Okay, what is
perfect. So Mike brought up the idea of men's league and varsity sports. You don't get paid for men's league. You get paid if you're making a promoter money. And if the promoter says, guys, look, you're doing it for the love of the sport, you shouldn't get paid, then I think the promoter should as well turn over their extra profits to some charitable organization, and they should do it as well for the love of the sport. The same expectation should be on them. And man, I've given.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, Stefano. You're gonna have to repeat that one. I'm a little confused.
So if I'm expected to perform my craft for the so-called love of the sport, right? Spend hours in the gym, give up my livelihood and my life for the love of the sport, then I think promoters should be expected to do the same and turn over the profits that you're making to charity and do it for the love of the sport as well, or invest them back into the mixed martial arts community, right?
Okay.
Like I think that's a pretty
think
fair
about it
standard to
this way.
set. I've had. Oh, sorry. Just to add one. I fought for. This is the worst example. I fought for a now defunct organization in Ottawa, who shall remain nameless, who actually required me to pay to fight. I got there and they're like, "Oh, you have to pay this fee to sign up for our blah blah blah." Okay,
Wow.
cool. And they're like, "Oh yeah, and it's an additional charge of like $60 to fight in this show." I'm like,
What?
wait. I'm like, hold on. I'm looking
Groups.
at a. I'm looking at a packed banquet hall full of people that bought tickets to come and see me fight, and you want me to pay on top of that? Like if I didn't just have a full training camp, I would have walked out. But yeah,
So you did pay it?
dude, it was a younger, dumber me, and I wanted to fight so badly.
Wow, I'm never.
I remember even look, Capital Punishment with Westside Muay Thai, right? Like, God bless their soul. I'm not saying they made a whole bunch of money, but David, you were at that card. You saw how many sponsors sponsored that card, right? You saw, You saw. I was on a featured fight too. Like, you saw the posters of the guy, my opponent, plastered all over the banquet hall, right? All over the projection. So like there's definitely money that they've spent, expenses they've spent. But at
I
the
would
same,
say.
sorry, go ahead. No,
I just
David,
think
please.
we take for granted how good credits can make things look. So you would think that they're making money because of the production. I don't want to throw anybody on the rug, but in reality, the only way they're recouping any money at all is through ticket sales, which I don't. You guys know.
They're making
Considering,
no money.
No, trust me when I say
David. Wait, don't say trust me. I've seen it.
Okay.
I've been behind the workings. I know promoters.
I
I've
also
seen
do
shows
events,
being put
though.
on.
But I also do events though, so I know that gate receipts or ticket receipts is not enough to recoup a lot of your costs when you're organizing a big event.
My coach is a promoter. He puts on events.
Okay.
They make money. I'm telling you.
Okay.
But like, Stefano, the whole
ticket
thing
sales,
is that like
alcohol sales.
Look,
I don't think they make enough money to pay everybody. A lot
alcohol
of money.
sales.
And then,
Hold on, tickets.
but like I
alcohol
think it's
sales,
loaded.
Sponsorship. There's so many streams of revenue you can make.
there's streams of revenue, but you're not necessarily generating that much revenue on every single card. And then if you want to get into it, then you have the cases of, okay, I booked 12 fighters for 6 fights, and then 2 weeks before the fight, and 4 of my fighters have pulled out. It's a lot. There are things that are a lot more difficult when you're an amateur, I would imagine. I'm not an amateur promoter, so I can't really speak for them. But there are things I would imagine that are a lot more difficult for an amateur promoter.
That's why they overbook cards, though. They won't the exact number of fights they need. Every amateur promoter books like 25, 30 fights with the expectation that 10 of them are going to fall out.
Yeah, I pulled out a fight before.
But imagine having to pay all of them.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Imagine having to pay your
exactly
employees.
my point is that when you
imagine.
But they're not your employees. I don't know why.
But see, this is why
they're
like,
making
I get
money.
what David's saying.
No, but that doesn't mean they're your employee. Just
Imagine paying your contractors.
No,
okay,
but like, look,
but you don't have to pay your contractors. You can if you want to, and if that's the terms of your agreement, but you don't have to. If you sign a contract where they're volunteering their services, then you don't have to do that. Not to make it. Why are you making me sound like such a capitalist, man? Eat the rich.
David, what do you think is an ideal scenario? Because we're talking ideals here. Do you think it's ideal that it should be factored into the cost of things for these people to pay their fighters?
Of course they should be paid. Like, sorry, David, I guess
I think of course they should be paid.
Well, then we're on the same side.
But Stefano, the problem is like, see, this is the thing is that like, of course, like we're all saying yes. It's just when you to play devil's advocate. This is why it's so loaded, is because
Sorry to cut you off, Michael, and I know you've not gotten your point off at all, but I just want to say it's not even devil's advocate. It's just to say that whenever you make a decision like this, it's always going to have consequences. So yes, you might be right. A lot of promoters might be making a lot of money, but a lot of promoters aren't. And a lot of small promoters are going to fall under, and they're not going to be able to promote, do as many shows. And a lot of fighters are going to take advantage of the system.
And take advantage of the system how? They're being taken advantage of presently.
Fighters don't take advantage of the system?
They're being taken advantage of presently. Fighters are the most taken advantage of athletes possible.
Fighters are taken advantage of by the system. However, flip that on its head. Do fighters still not take advantage of the system that takes advantage of them right now? Like, why would it?
Wait, how? You're gonna have to get into this.
Steroids?
How do they take advantage?
Bribes?
Wait, hold on. Steroids and oh my God, David, please stop.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Steroids,
is that
bribes.
if there is a system,
what does this have to do with paying amateur fighters?
No, but like the point is that people, whenever you have a system, people take advantage of a system, whether they're at the top or at the bottom or in the middle. It's just it's the way people are, right? Look, I'll say it like this. I want to say this point very clearly, is that this is why it gets so loaded, because when you talk about the logistics of this question, right, and you talk about not every promoter is created equal. Not every fight card is equal. Not everything is the same.
Not every fighter is
the same, right? You know what I'm saying?
Like, class get paid?
No, and right,
David. People don't run MMA promotions so that they can continually make a loss, though. They make money off of them.
Okay.
But see, and this is the thing, is that like we talked about Prospect, like they had their last card in some of these ticket sales. I'm not saying it was a bad card. I'm not saying it's a good card. By the way, shout out to Hashmat, who got a W on Prospect on the last Prospect card. But Hashmat's
Hashmat. I used to
I love
back
that
in the day.
He's my dude. But my point is that, right, those ticket prices were expensive as all you know what, and they had pro fighters with followings on them. Imagine if you have to pay fighters. Does that mean the ticket sales go up now? So now all of a sudden you have to pay $100 to see an amateur fight, to see some kids fight?
Wait, hold on. Hold on,
Stefano, please, let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's more to it, right? Where's the line, right? Do you pay amateur fighters at some cards that aren't as loaded? Do you pay some amateurs? Like Art of War was a great card. Art of Fighting Fitness had a Muay Thai card for Art of War. Art of War had Zach Baldwin on the card. It had Jordan Graham on the card. That's a card where I'd say, yeah, you know what? You should probably get the fighters. Fighters should get paid at that card. But hold on. Guys, please let me finish this one because it's important. But
we're like a couple of chihuahuas up in here. Dude.
Yeah, but should you get paid for like for example, Nickel? I found a card in Sudbury. Nickel City Knockouts was the card, and it was an all exhibition card, and so none of the decisions mattered, and like everybody was either having their first fight or their second fight. It wasn't that big of a deal. Should we get paid for that card?
Yes.
Right? Like, and this is where you get into these levels and differences and you know.
First of all,
I would say it's not about the quality of the card. It's about the fact that somebody's offering up their labor to make you money, and I think they should be getting paid in that scenario. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. You should be getting paid, and Prospect you mentioned, right? All due respect to Prospect, because they put on a great show, they put on a great product. A few of my teammates fought on that show. They made the choice to have their show at a nightclub, so your overhead is going to be
one of the most expensive nightclubs in Toronto.
Exactly. They did it on a Sunday, and we can argue about the merits of that. Certainly the merits for exposure and for just the atmosphere of it are very high, but at the same time, you're going to have to up the cost of your tickets in order to make a profit, which is what they did. And they made a profit from, as far as I understand. Maybe they operated at a loss, but we'll see. MMA promotions go in and out of business like nobody's business. And if people can make, if people can have, how do I put this? If there can be regional pro cards that make a profit throughout the United States, right? I think the same can be done with amateur as far as paying your athletes. It's not like paying your fighters is some ridiculous business model that's never been done before. We see it constantly throughout the United States.
One second.
Hey, Michael.
Mike,
That's
that
on
song,
me. That's
that
on
song
me.
is that song is hot trash.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's not like this is some novel idea that hasn't been ever accounted for, like paying the fighters, and it can be done.
I really didn't think we were gonna have that much of a deep dive on this, but
This
no.
is-
But my thing,
this
here's
is
what I
why
wanted to
it was
say.
asked last
Think of it.
week, and
Can I make a comparison?
Yeah, sure.
Here is and similarly. I know people hate when I make comparisons because they're just like, okay, what are we talking about? You were talking about this. I'm talking about this. It's a parallel, and then it's
Because your
analogy.
parallels suck
Okay?
sometimes.
Analogy.
But go on.
Okay, Hilarious. I'm not trying to start going.
Your parallels suck sometimes, David.
Okay, I'll take that.
Sometimes they're on point.
Every
Sometimes they're
parallel
on-
sucks sometimes.
That's true. I'll take that. But my point is, like, think about, like, for example, if you want to be a musician, you're not going to start making money straight away. And this is not to say promoters should not pay fighters, because I'm always on the side of the little guy. I want to make that really clear. I always think that the little guy, the person who's being exploited, should be the person who we should be looking out for. That's what I believe. However, you have to be practical, and you have to understand that it's because of promoters that we even have professional fighters in the first place. Because if not, there would be no prize fighting. You get what I mean? Like, what? No. That's what makes it a valid. That's what makes it a valid career in this economy. Because
Sure, but
without promoters, it would just be two guys scrapping.
For sure. I fail to see the point. Like, promoters paying you makes it a career path. Yes, and without the promoter paying you, it fails to be a career path anymore. It's just an amateur hobby.
I'm agreeing with you, but just like in music, when you first start out, you're not going to get paid. You're looking for your opportunity. And yes, I agree. You are being exploited. That's not what I'm even saying. But as a small promoter, the level of it's one thing if you're not paying professional fighters well. That's why it's a different argument for the UFC, who are making billions and are paying fighters peanuts. But it's another thing if you're making 100K, you had to take a 50K line of credit just to even get the venue and just to even set the thing up. You make 100K, so you have 50K profit, and now you got to divvy that 50K profit up between 12 fighters?
Yes,
no,
and you won't even have to divvy it up because hold on. Fighters are hold on. Anyway.
Look, the 12 fighters didn't put down any financial collateral, so they don't get to make financial decisions. So they don't get to split the profit.
They didn't put down financial collateral, so they're not entitled to profit.
What did they do?
That same argument could be applied to any employee. My employees didn't.
But I think the
point
that
argument is literally like my employees that work for me didn't put any financial collateral down to start this business. Therefore, they're not entitled to compensation.
I think the point David's trying to make is that if you do that, will there be any more fight promotions like in the future that are willing to then put on like lower level athletes who then can get some experience and then go forward, right? I think that's one of the points you're trying to make. No,
there won't be.
Absolutely. I'd say they can't. I'd say no. That's not true. That's not true because
they would go out of business. Let's just be realistic.
No, they wouldn't.
Like martial arts promotion is not as lucrative as you're making it seem.
David,
we know that there were a lot of gyms making money, but there's a lot of gyms that are not making money too, and are going to go out of business.
David, you're acting
pandemic like this. So I don't know why we're making this.
Hold on. You're acting like we don't have case studies, though. You're acting like we don't have tons of small regional shows throughout the United States that are thriving. Yes, some of them go under. It's a very volatile business. It's a business that's incredibly prone to, a promotion just folding up based on one unsuccessful event. That's that valid. Yeah, but that nobody's safe from this pandemic financially. But dude, you're acting like we don't have successful case studies. We do throughout the United States, right?
But this is the point of relativity. But Stefano, the thing is that the thing that I think that like I'm getting from David and like I'm trying to get you to understand is we're talking about relativity, right? It's easy to look at like the regional promotions that are doing well, but what about the ones that are scraping by? Like They're amateur promotions.
Yo, the same could be said for amateur promotions, bro. The same could be said for amateur promotions. There are plenty that are just.
I know, but that's exactly my point. Is that like not everything is equal, and so like should amateur fighters get paid? Yeah, but am I willing to say they let's put into law so that these other promotions don't get a chance to try it? That's where it gets dicey and difficult and slippery. And I think, there needs to be other things in place.
How about this? How about if we put a cap on the amount of money you're allowed to make before you start paying fighters? Because I think
I can hear that. That's something I like.
I'd like to further that. Here's what I think. Okay, do you think kids playing at a high school event, right, just a high school tournament, should get paid? No, right? I think we all agree on that. Now, how about this is the United States and we sell out tickets in a stadium of 30,000 people to watch that high school team play? Should they now get paid?
No.
Hold on.
Why are you talking?
Jeremy's had to do that. Jeremy played for Montfort, so he's been in that situation.
The reason why I don't agree that you should pay them is because in terms of high school is because you're in high school to make it to college, and then you're in college to make it to the pros. That's the argument that a lot of these NCAA that the NCAA has over the student athletes. Now, if you're talking about college, I think that they should be compensated, but
because they're adults at that point.
Exactly, they're adults and they're most definitely being exploited. But when it comes to high school, I don't agree. Even if it's the state championship if it's the Texas state championship that happens at Cowboy Stadium, that is solely for the players. They're solely there to win a championship. They're not there to
But the problem is that are you this? There's a lot of high school commissions in football that make a crap ton of money.
That's my argument.
And technically, they're exploiting the kids. And this is the problem that you get into when you talk about this, is that, again, and for the 50th time, I feel like I've said this, where is the line?
I think the line, Michael, if I can just say, I think the line is, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for money?
Yeah.
Or are you doing this for sport? And I know, don't get me wrong, there will be exploitation on both sides of that line. So just saying paying them isn't going to fix everything.
Technically, though, you're doing it for both. You're doing it for both. You're trying to get to a point where you can make money.
Not always. You see, there's this dream that everybody who does sport is progressing towards professionalism, but that's not the case. A lot of people play recreational. In every gym, there's super high level guys who may have never fought a fight, or maybe you've done a couple of amateur fights just to try it out. So we shouldn't make it seem like everybody is on this.
Here's the line.
I just want to go back to the high school football point. When high schools football programs win state championships or make it to state championships, the way they're rewarded is in things like registration to that school, or admission to that school, or however you put it, or new facilities, new alumni donations. That's how they're rewarded. But when it comes to paying individual players, I don't think that you're setting yourself up for a lot of.
Okay, all right.
So hold on. Let me because I think the line's abundantly clear. Bless you. I think the line is abundantly clear. If you're making money off the back of my labor, I deserve a share of the profits. If I'm playing for high school and nobody's getting a cut of the salary, and it's expressly stated that this is just for the purpose of playing the sport and developing my potential, and X, Y, and Z people who are, not officiating, but who are putting this show on aren't making money off of it, and it's just a school sport, nobody should be making money. But the second you start streaming it live on TV and people are paying for pay-per-views, you're selling tickets and people are coming there to see me perform as an athlete, and I'm your product. The second I become your product that you're making money off of, I deserve a share of the money. That's the clear line in the sand.
Okay.
But it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. It's not that simple because not everybody's coming to see you.
Should we move on from this? Because I feel like we're going to keep running in circles.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I think we've all made our points.
We can all agree. In an ideal world.
I think we've all made excellent points.
Yeah. Like in an ideal world, I think we're all in agreement. Yes, 100% yes, right? But it's loaded.
But as we've seen, money doesn't come from trees. So some guys are going to lose out.
Well, paper money does come from trees, technically.
We've transitioned from paper money. It's plastic now.
All right. Okay, so we got some time left if we want to talk about another one, which is kind of a lighter topic. We got one sports one non-sports one. Which one do you guys want to talk about?
Let's go to the non-sports one. I don't know. What do you guys think?
All right, so we got a Bob question here. I like saying the Bob question. I'm gonna steal that from Chujitsu because whenever he has an anonymous question, he either has them called Bob or Barbara or whatever.
You know why that is, right?
Why?
It's like it's coming off. You know the how they call those dummies Bobs that you beat up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it came from one of them.
Yeah. So it's a Bob question. So Bob likes a girl. All right. Bob's interested in a girl, but the pandemic has kind of halted his game on halt. Okay. So Bob has asked the good people of the Light Kick, how do you get out of the friend zone during the quarantine?
Can I field this?
All right, field the question, Stefano.
So, Bobbert, you're I think, and this is one thing I didn't realize when I was younger. Patience is your friend. Don't try and force the situation.
Wait, what?
Hold on. Let me qualify my answer. The less interest you show, the stronger your case is. And quite frankly, I think it can just sometimes come off as creepy when you're trying to slide into the DMs, especially if you're extremely physically good looking, you're like a 10 out of 10 guy, that's when sliding into the DMs works perfectly. If not, you've got to kind of, take it slowly, be patient. Don't rush in there because it's just going to come off as desperate and horny in the middle of this pandemic.
I 100% disagree. Slide in right now. What are you waiting for? Strike up a combo. Hey, what you doing? How's your family? Yo, you eating good? Yo, you know what? I just feel like everything. I just been feeling so sick, so lovesick. You know what I mean? Like tie something in. You know those Future memes?
Yeah.
Try to tie in one of the memes of Future.
Look, I honestly truly believe. It's my belief. Oh, sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, I'd just like to know a little more information. Like, is he currently in the friend zone, as in like he's made previous?
You know what? I gotta ask Bob. Like, the impression I have is that he's in the friend zone, right? And to which I say you've lost. It's over. Like that was gonna be my point.
I agree. I agree with David. I agree with David that like if he hasn't made an attempt, like shoot your shot, see what's up, right? Everyone's bored right now, but if not, back off a little bit. Let her come to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I mean, if you've already shot your shot, then you got to play the long game. And I'm talking a long game, I mean like 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Wait it out. Let her have a couple kids and then see like, okay, like is our love still like everlasting?
But see, this is my point is that like if once you're in the friend zone, it takes the grace of God to get you out.
Oh man, all you need is just one divorce.
No, man, you're
in. One divorce.
Like that's it. It's over. Like it is over. Like
I think it's over, and you have to like accept that it's over. And any chance that you have of getting with someone after you've been put in the friend zone is just to ignore them and get some distance,
or be their friend,
or be their friend. But that's not gonna. I think as soon as a girl says, "Hey, you're in the friend zone," you got to say, "Okay, don't freak out. That's cool. I can do that." And then just don't talk to her.
Like, don't. Like,
now we know.
And then she'll be like,
they're talking about.
She'll realize what she's missing. Don't blow up on her because then you'll just look like a petulant child.
Look, I'll say this. If he's not,
why don't you ever want a good guy?
I'll play both scenarios. If he's like kind of sort of a friend, but like he's not like completely entrenched in the friend zone, like he's not in the wilderness just yet, you'd be surprised how many women are looking for conversation during this pandemic. Like even like on a good day, you'd be surprised how many attractive women would just like a conversation.
Yeah.
So
and
as long as you're able to
like,
have a, sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say it doesn't always have to be like getting into their pants either. You
Yeah,
can,
right?
take interest in who they are and stuff. But whatever. That's sort of for a different podcast.
I mean, that's
like
another thing I'd like to know.
I kind of agree with Stefano. Like, you do want to be patient, but like it only takes that one story, that one post, for them to be like, okay, I'm kind of feeling you a little bit, or just do it like the easy way that we all did it before. Get another girl and make them jealous.
Yes,
There
Jeremy.
There it
Jeremy,
is.
Jeremy's
That's why
been
Jeremy's
sitting there
MVP.
like a wise sage in the background. I knew he was
That's why
going to come up with
Jeremy's
a nugget of
MVP.
gold.
Do not do that.
That's why he's
Jeremy the
MVP.
sage. Look, I'd also like to know what his level of interest in this woman is. Like, is he just trying to hook up? Because if you're just trying to hook up, I mean, hookups over the internet are just boring. There's no point. Like, I don't want to exchange pictures with you and like whatever. I don't have time.
Hey, it's a Christian podcast, man.
It's a Christian podcast.
Okay. But if he's interested in a long-term committed relationship, like now is a great time where you don't have a lot going on to kind of build a rapport with someone and get to know them a little bit better. But like,
text her. What's your favorite color?
This one I know Bob likes the girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, genuinely. I don't know if he likes her because from superficial, like if it's superficial, but I know he would like to explore a relationship. That much I know. Like, so.
I'd say
if he's to her house, man. What?
Show up to her house, sneezing and
during
coughing.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Your grandma.
Be like, I got this $1,000 ticket because of you. Like, now it's time. We should be in a relationship.
I got a joke to make, but I don't think our more religious followers would really appreciate it.
Man, okay, like I don't know, man. I just think honestly, my like genuine advice to Bob is like, look, the next time she has a story reply that you can like at least have like an interesting introduction to catch her eye, take the opportunity, right? Have a conversation.
And if she's being dry, call her on it or just like leave her on red or something.
But like if he's genuinely in the friend zone and entrenched, honestly, you're screwed. Like just move on. Like get another. Like you're
forget that.
There have been times in what's that? Sorry, go on.
Start hating on the other dude. Start like bad talking everybody else so that you can seem like the only decent like guy around. Just be like, oh, man, right?
Believe it or not, no, I think you're joking. But just for the leg kick fans, just so they know, that'll just make you seem petty and like really, don't do that. Don't actually do that. Yeah,
that's real.
One thing I realized, and this is gonna sound weird, but like I've had like fairly recently, I've had like gay guys hit on me in the gym and stuff, right? And it was an interesting.
It's because the bald head, they love it.
This was I haven't been to the gym in time. This was pre-bald head. They say I'm a lovely twink, but no,
Sorry, Stefano. Who says that?
No. In all seriousness, I've been hit. I've had a couple of different, gay gentlemen hit on me at the gym, like the weightlifting gym that I go to. No free clout, I won't say which one. And it just kind of put into perspective for me. It's like, man, it must be so awkward and obvious when we're coming up to these women approaching them. It just put it into perspective of like, oh, I see exactly what you're doing. It's so like, you know what I mean? It's like you're not coming up to me and making idle conversation because you want to. You know what I mean? It's just from their perspective, it just clicked how obvious it is.
What the worst is when you're actually trying to make idle conversation and it's not interpreted as that way, and then you realize you actually have nothing in common with that person. But
anybody can be objectified nowadays. Anybody can be objectified.
But by the way, to David's point, I just realized, there were so many times in my youth that like I'd like to go back and tell my future self, it's like, just give up. Like you clearly have, if your conversation,
like, what are you worried about?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're not the last person in the world. And if your conversations with this girl are dry and boring and uninteresting, and you genuinely have nothing in common with them, why are you still trying? Like,
So yeah, no, it's just stuff that you could have told yourself. It would have saved me a lot of trouble.
Same.
Just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe go talk to her. Maybe don't, stalk her Facebook. Yeah. Anyway.
with the Facebook, you've just dated yourself, my friend.
All right, okay. Yeah, you heard it here, Bob. Okay, so do we have enough time for a story? Do we have enough time?
Story time.
Yeah, story time with Mike.
All right. Do we have we need a jingle for this?
Story
All
time.
right.
Michael Lucifo.
This is actually a pretty recent story, actually.
Pull up a chair.
Chair.
Daddy's home.
Yeah, sit on his knee. All right.
Okay. So let's see. Recent story, actually. So Muay Thai fight. In Ottawa, very recent fight I had. I was like the fourth to last fight. Pretty important bout if I say so myself. Pop the collar. No.
Wait, was that
context.
Jadakiss that you just referenced with that sound?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That was Jadakiss you just referenced with that sound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so for some context, this was the fourth fight on the card, but by far the most hyped up card. We've already probably talked about it in the podcast, but when Michael's opponent came out,
He might as well came out on the white horse. Like, it was
literally.
crazy.
Literally, they might as well have sacrificed a lamb in front of him. That was
Sorry,
how
you cut out for a second.
No, I said they might as well sacrifice a lamb because he looked like he was the next coming of I don't know. He looked like some Viking stuff. He was on some other stuff. A whole lot of gang S, if you know what I mean. Oh wait, is Michael cut out?
Sorry, it cut out for a second. But what?
Yeah.
No,
Basically
like
just
me,
confirming
I
what
think
you were
I cut
saying
out.
earlier.
Okay, anyway. Yeah, no, he might as well have came out on a white horse. It was crazy. I can't confirm or deny whether said women were women of the night, but he had a bunch of women.
Women of the night.
Nocturnal
they
women.
look good. I'm just gonna say
we call
they
them
look
loose
good.
women. Or
Some good-looking nocturnal,
no, we don't.
non-biblical women.
No, we don't call them loose women.
Man, I feel like somewhere, David's girlfriend especially is giving me
just a bunch of
to
just a bunch of Jezebels running around.
Hilarious.
I don't want to say Jezebels, but they were.
If these women were a part of the Bible, they would have been from Sodom and Gomorrah.
Wow. I actually still live here, man. Take it easy.
Oh, you do? Oh, geez.
I'll say this.
Sorry, David. David's gonna get attacked by sodomite women later.
Man, there's so many follow-up jokes, but let's left that.
Right. They look good. I'll leave it at that. They look good. All right. So anyway, we the entrances happened. Apparently, my entrance was cringy according to David, but whatever. I like the entrance. Whatever.
He looks like imagine Michael B. Jordan doing a bad Creed, doing the worst Creed you could possibly do.
Dude, I came in in the action robe. I came out. I was ready to get booed. You know what? I was reading the tenor of the room earlier, and I thought I was gonna get booed. I really thought I was gonna get booed out of the. I got booed, but not to that. The
crowd was considering it. We were considering booing you, but then we were like, okay, this is amateur. Nobody's getting paid. We'll just cheer. So you got a polite cheer.
There was I heard some stuff, but nothing crazy, right?
Like a golf clap.
Dude, this is a great side story. As I come out, I kind of do this kind of T pose, right? I was feeling all the energy. And David was like, yeah, woo. And then like 5 seconds in, I hear in the corner of my ear, David go, all right, that's enough. That's enough. Get in the
ring. I can only be so celebratory, man.
Carry on.
And plus, I was alone.
All right, that's enough.
It was that quiet you could hear David. That's funny.
Michael has a tendency of pushing it. Like
I do push it. I'm a diva, whatever. Okay. So I get into the ring, right? And as we mentioned, my opponent gets into the ring, and his poster has been plastered all over the walls, like all over the walls. He's the feature poster on the projection, like it's crazy. And he comes out, and this entrance, like I said, he might as well have came out on a white horse. It was crazy, right? So he comes out and
came out to a local rapper's song, did he not?
Yes, he did. And people were cheering, and it was actually a really fun entrance. I liked it. I liked it a lot, right? So they're mentioning the records and stuff, right? So my thoughts, my thing was like, I've only seen one fight. I'm assuming he has 3 fights or whatever. I've heard he's undefeated, but I didn't know he was like 8-0, right? So I hear, and then a perfect record of 7-0. I was like, oh, like where do these other fights come from? Shouldn't you be in A class? Like, but anyway, whatever, right? So we're about to get thrown down. Like the ref gives us like kind of like you got everything, and the ref comes to me and goes, do you have your cup? And I go, oh, crap. No. I'm like, oh, no, right? Thank the Lord it's not homegirl. You know, who knows this rep? Like, I can't remember her name, but there's a rep in Muay Thai, Ontario, who's famous for
people on the podcast.
She goes in there and just, make sure you got a cup for sure, right? She like grabs and wiggles around, right? It wasn't that rep. He just kind of got a cup, right? So I'm like, oh crap, no, right? So Corey's like, don't worry, I got it. Corey runs to the back, right? And like it takes like 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes, whatever. Corey comes back out. By the way, shout out to Corey Action Jackson, the greatest coach of all time, right? I love you, Stefano, but all right. And he comes in,
3 long minutes,
right? And right, what Corey does is he goes, bro, I couldn't find your cup. You're going to have to go without it, right? Rolls up my shorts, pretends to put a cup in my pants. And then after I go to Corey, I'm like, yo, I'm 90% sure you can find it. I'll go with you. He's like, listen to me. They're going to call the fight if you don't have a cup and we have to go back again. You're going to have to just go without it, like shake it off, right? And and looks for the ref to look away as he pretends to put this cup in, this fake imaginary cup in, puts it in the fake imaginary, like he pretends to put in the cup, and then we turn around, we have the fight. So, yeah.
Oh, man, on a razor's edge. And FYI for the audience, Mike ended up kicking ass in that fight and outpointing this gentleman over 3 rounds.
Yeah. It was solid. But yeah,
from a crowd perspective, it was really weird. Especially given the hype of the the entrances. That 3-minute period, obviously they're not telling everyone what's going on, so we're just kind of like standing there looking at the ring, watching you two guys just like stand opposite each other, and we're just like, what's going on? So yeah, that was weird, definitely.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's the reason why there was that like pause. It was because I needed time to get a cup that never got, and yeah.
And you can even tell in the fight. I'm not sure it really made that much of a difference.
It didn't.
Leg kicks.
Yeah, because he threw no leg kicks, which was kind of weird, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It probably would have been in his best interest to throw a leg kick anyway, but
No, that's what I was thinking. That's probably why he didn't. No, but we've gone over that fight a million bajillion times. So yeah, no, that was an interesting one. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you have any more stories, you guys let us know, and I guess we'll post them. any ask questions, any hate mail, any fan mail will go to the legkick1@gmail.com. I gotta wait for Stefano before I end the podcast. So like,
yeah, this guy leaves like right after like.
He couldn't wait.
Yo, I have the bladder of infants. I cannot wait.
All right.
Smallest bladder on the leg kick for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna end the podcast on that note.
I gotta tell the good people what to do.
Go ahead.
Guys, subscribe. Stay safe, first of all. Make sure that you're, from us to you, from the bottom of our heart, don't go outside unless you have to. And if you do, stay 6 feet away from these heathens. Tell them to get that Wuhan breath away from you, like Joey Diaz said. Stay safe, guys, and subscribe if you can. It's important. It's going to help us keep doing this. And we can put out more content. The larger you scale this channel, we scale this channel. So if you think it's valuable and you like these episodes, wherever you can find us, YouTube, podcast app, Spotify, wherever we are, subscribe, like, write your questions into the legkick1@gmail.com. Tell your friends about us. If you think they might like us, they might like, the interesting discussions we have about mixed martial arts and life. And if you think someone might be interested in getting out of the friend zone, let them know. Let them know, because we're taking over this MMA podcast thing.
Cool. All right. I'm not gonna do my thing. So
no, do it.
Anyone else want to sign us off?
Wow.
Oh, I can sign us off.
All right, man. Go ahead, Eager Beaver.
In this devastating world racked with coronavirus, the economy is collapsing. This world is so bad that Mike has lost his vigor to do the outro for our podcast. Look at him. He's a man, a shell of his former self. Not a man, but a shadow. That's not racist, by the way. You have three things. Says the white guy with the ball. You have three things in this world: family, friendship, and this podcast.
Wow, it wasn't that bad.
All right.
Peace.
Take it easy.